Hello YouTube, Duncan Ryan coming to you again from Guitar Shed Videos, where here we are relaxing after a fairly long day, got a fire going outside and everything. So, what we decided we'd do today is make a video about something I've brought up in a few videos so far and may need a little bit more explanation, which is developing the speed of your playing versus developing the techniques of your playing. And what I mean by that is that if you're working on a specific technique, what I'm going to say for now is something I addressed earlier, which is two-handed tapping. Your inclination, if you listen to, say, artists who use that technique in very fast songs or use that technique to a very fast effect, your inclination is going to be to try to play it very, very fast the first time, because, you know, who doesn't want to sound pro like that? But the thing is that you have to remember about speed versus technique is that all of those artists you're listening to who are using that technique very fast, they have practiced it slowly and they've built up their ability with it so that it sounds really, really good and clear and crisp when they do it in their songs or live or just when they're messing around for their own practice. They've practiced that really, really thoroughly. So I don't want you to think that the first time you're playing something, you should play it fast and, you know, that should be your practice method. Because what happens when you do that, you will get very fast. Your fingers will get fast. You will be able to play your notes in a fast sequence. But what's going to happen is, when you go back and you look, and a lot of times people don't realize this until they're looking at, say, a recording of themselves playing, if they decide to record a song they're writing. What they won't really realize until they can sit back and listen to themselves without the distraction of playing at the same time is they'll realize these little tiny imperfections in their playing. And sometimes they can be really tiny and sometimes not so tiny. But they won't realize it a lot of times until they hear themselves while they're not playing. So my advice is to, learn to play fast, but learn to play right. So make sure you're practicing your techniques slowly and then building up the speed. And if you just want to do it for fun and, try it fast a couple of times, that's not going to hurt you at all. I'm not saying don't do that, but make sure you're focusing on your technique. And kind of going after that vein I was talking about earlier, something you might want to do in order, and I do this myself, in order to take a look at and evaluate your techniques, is to buy yourself even just a cheap tape recorder, or find, most computers today have built-in microphones that are adequate for low quality recordings. I wouldn't recommend them for studio quality, but they're enough to give you an idea of what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And sit back and listen to those a few times over. Go back and listen to a section you weren't sure you liked. Go back and listen to, say, a few notes that you feel like you played the right notes, but your technique could have been better on them for some reason. And, then go back and play that same thing on your guitar and figure out what it was that could have been better, what it is that's not sounding good to your ear. Because your ear is what you need to be listening to in terms of your music. Because you know what you want it to sound like, and you know what it should sound like. So when you hear it and it doesn't sound quite right, maybe it does still sound good, but maybe it just doesn't sound quite like you wanted it to, go back and figure out why. Because once you figure that out, you can correct it, and once you've corrected it, you're going to sound really, really good. And that's kind of the difference between, say, amateur players and professional players. A lot of times they can play the same things, but the professional players will play it with a better technique, so it's going to sound better. So that would be my advice for developing speed and technique at the same time. And I'll see you later, guys. Peace out.